What's going on, my precious babies? 2026 is coming to an end, and I just look back at all the stuff I made in 2025, and I was shocked and surprised because I did a lot this year, and I thought I'd do a little show and tell. So let's check it out. Starting with a little embroidery gift that I gave my friend Cassie. This is her two cats, Ripley and Ruby. And they're so darn cute. I tried to give this to her for Christmas, but it took a long ass time, so I decided to just give it to her after Christmas, and this is how it turned out. This one was really fun because I had to figure out how to put the two cats together and make it obvious that it was two different cats. But I think it came through just fine. And one of the bigger challenges with this is that I had to figure out how to incorporate the fuzziness sort of emanating off of the two animals. You see what I'm saying? Last year I bought an embroidery machine and it took me a couple weeks to kind of get the hang of it, but after about 6 months of practice, I was doing pretty good. The hardest part of embroidery is that when you're digitizing something, you kind of want to reduce the amount of time it takes to get from point A to point B. Sometimes instead of the machine cutting off the thread and starting back at the center, you want it to kind of just keep streamlining through so that you could save time and thread. This particular one was a little bit of a challenge in that category because it's many layers, but I think it came out nice. And next up, it was time for Mardi Gras. And I knew I wanted to make something really unique for me and my boyfriend because we were going together. Last year when I first got my embroidery machine, I started creating flowers because that was kind of easier for a beginner. And I started making these fleur-de-lis. And I thought that would be appropriate because it's New Orleans, obviously.
What's with the attitude?
This was the original prototype because I thought I wanted to do two sweatsuits. Mine would be black and his would be white. But instead I went with the Canadian tuxedo for him and a dress for me. There's Lou. I stuck a bunch of patches of tulips on the sides, along with some lilies and fleur-de-lis and a bit of fringe. I was scrounging to get this done. I had like 2 days left and I hadn't even started on the dress yet, so it was quite an endeavor, but somehow I damn pulled it off. And here's some pictures of us at Mardi Gras. Cute. Because I was still obsessed with the flower motif and I had a market coming up that I also didn't have a whole lot of time for, I went ahead and made a few things with that repeating pattern on it. This sweatshirt I really liked a lot when I first made it, but then I kind of ruined it later because I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I made coloring sheet patches that you could color in with a permanent marker? So I colored it in and then I realized that doesn't really look that good after you wash it. Kind of looks splotchy, to be honest. But I did not embroider those patches directly on the garment, so at least I can still take the original ones off and put something else there. When I was starting to get into the groove with embroidery, I practiced a few different things, and this is before I realized that you can just upload an image into Hatch embroidery software and you don't really have to put it in Procreate and clean it up first. You can kind of just use your eyeballs to figure it out and you don't really have to make it cartoonish beforehand, but because I did that, I just made these into stickers. Then I got into cars. In real life, I'm really not that into cars. I don't like to drive. I like to look at them from afar. And for some reason, I've always been obsessed with mid 80s, like 70s convertible Benz. And so I started to embroider that. And that kind of led me on a whole side quest of doing different cars. I started with this pair of shorts. I have a video up already about the steps that you have to go through to digitize these. You can check that out if you like, but it is vertical. I'm so sorry. I filmed it vertical. And here's some other stuff that I made for that market with other cars. I made a bunch of patches. I also did this 1980s Firebird that my friend requested, and it was her birthday coming up and her favorite color is green, so I made her this pouch. Which, speaking of pouches, for that same market I was preparing for, I made a bunch of these pouches, which I think came out
fabulous.
It's kind of just your run-of-the-mill makeup bag. I also put my little logo on that. This is actually made out of an old quilt that I've thrifted. It was a white quilt that I dyed using this fabric dye, but it's actually free-flowing liquid color for natural and synthetic fabrics, called Dynaflow. I thought I would give it a try as a fabric dye. I've seen other creators use this. In particular, one of my favorite creators, Katie, who y'all should go follow, who is a fashion designer and draws using one of those little liquid pens. I tried it, I made a bath of it and diluted it.
I also ironed it after to seal the color with heat.
Note, if you ever try it, it kind of comes out like watercolor. It's not super consistent across. And I also made this one. This is like a bigger tote bag that has a couple pockets inside. I feel like some kind of goth chick would look really fire in this. You see what I'm saying? Or maybe it's somebody's shirt.
No.
Also, with the scraps from that, I made a little iPad case. The only thing about this is that I haven't really figured out how to enclose it because it's a roll down. So I just use this elastic band, which kind of looks like the top of somebody's drawers.
And here's some little flower patches I also made for this market.
I also made a bunch of these patches of the L train, and it's just a little homage to Chicago living because I do love public transit. Before I moved here, I sold my car because I knew that public transit was going to be the bomb over here. Like I said, I can't stand driving. It gives me anxiety. I don't want to do it. I don't even really like being in a car, to be honest. One of my favorite things to make is these little snap pouches. Back when I worked at a bag company, we would have lots and lots of leather scraps because we use leather in our bags. Whenever it was time to get rid of some of those scraps, your girl came looking for them. I have a giant Tupperware of these scraps and I need to make more of these, but I also made a bunch of these for the market. I'm surprised that they don't sell as much as they do because I think they're so fly. They're one of a kind. You know how when you get a leather sample booklet for something, it has like a description of the leather? I would just tear that off. See, this is where the binding would go to stick a bunch of these together. But first I would cut this into somewhat of a triangle so that I could have a flap here. Then I would add a bunch of leather scraps on the outside like this. And then I would take the bottom piece and the top piece and fold them over each other and do a stitch here and here and add a snap right here. And that's how I made these. I personally love them. I used one for my wallet, I'll show you. Probably needs to be washed. Only thing I will say about it is that it's not really a coin purse because coins can slide out easily, but you can stick your cards in there like that. It can be frustrating to have to dig through because I have all kind of like random rewards cards that I'll probably never get a punch on. Like, what the hell is this? I'll probably never go back there. No. So that's my little snap pouches. So here's some other stuff I made for the market and for my Depop, which I didn't really have a lot of luck on Depop. I don't know if y'all do, but I'm not sure if it's really the place for handmade items. And Etsy, let's just be honest, it's gone down the tubes.
Here's everything that sold and how much I sold it for. And here's what didn't sell.
I'm actually so shocked that this one never sold because it's so cute and it reminds me of Laverne and Shirley. I added this little flower patch to it and I changed all the buttons because it used to have the stupidest buttons on it. Oh no! Have you ever had the softest sweater but the buttons are like some metal crap that like you can't really get through the holes easily? So I changed the buttons and I thought it was cool to have them all be different colors. It can be difficult to sell upcycled stuff in person at markets because my sizing is limited. Most of the stuff that I upcycle is stuff that I got from the thrift store that's either torn or something that a friend donated to me. So I can't always be inclusive with the sizing. And that's another reason I don't really love doing markets.
A while back,
I really had the bright idea that I was going to make a shoelace business. And it's a similar thing. Because if you think about it, every pair of shoes has a different number of holes. Like, how are you really supposed to streamline that? I mean, I guess I could have just made a roll of them and then just did all of them made to order. However, that's just not really sustainable. And there wasn't really that much of a demand for new shoelaces, but I don't know, maybe I'll bring it back. Would you buy crazy shoelaces? Maybe so. And all that stuff is still up on my website, which is trudeau.com, and it has all the measurements if you're interested in any of those. So that market was in March, and my boyfriend's parents were coming to visit in May, and his dad specifically requested that I embroidered on this jacket for him. It came out very sweet and cute, and I could tell that he felt really cool when he had it on, because he did look so cool. And that was kind of my first time doing like a specific commission, and I thought that was really fun. This part, I don't think it counts as me making it, but in June, I taught my boyfriend how to sew. And he made himself a little pencil case. I taught a few other people how to sew too. I love teaching people, and I have a decent setup that I can have like one person over at a time to teach them. Enter June. This is when I started taking YouTube more seriously, and I saw some of the cool girlies on TikTok using projectors to cut out patterns, and so I bought a projector to cut out patterns. And the first thing I made was this set from Mood Sewciety, and the projector I bought wasn't really ideal because I had to put it on the tripod that my camera is currently sitting on now, and the angle of it wasn't ideal to get a clear picture, so it was more of a pain than helpful. But I ended up making this set. It's so teeny tiny and I'm not that proud of it, but it was a fun practice to figure out how to do the projector sewing. I think that was the first sewing pattern I ever used as well, so I was excited to kind of hop into some free patterns and see what I could do with those. And I found this website, Initiative Handarbeit, and I made a video about this if you want to check it out. But basically I had to learn how to projector sew with a German pattern because the translation options were not optimal. And there were a few hiccups, but I think the dress came out okay. I don't think that I did the breast part right because it gapes on the sides, and I think I might have just not understood the translation of the pattern. The dress is alright. I'm not super sold on it. Next, I wanted to make my boyfriend a pair of drawers. He'd be having butt cleavage, I'm not gonna lie. Like, them things is falling apart. So I made him a pair of underwear and myself a matching pair out of this shirt that my ex-boyfriend got me. Pretty brutal, I know. It turns out that the fabric wasn't really stretchy enough for them to be comfortable. I do have footage of myself making him another pair of underwear from a different t-shirt, and those actually came out good, and he does wear those because I kind of figured out what I should have done the first time and corrected my mistakes, and they look so much better. I also made myself a matching pair that I don't wear. Now that I was getting a little bit more comfortable with patterns, I decided I would buy some. I did 3 different summer tops, and the first one came out great. I wear it pretty often. It's just that I didn't anticipate that I would have to wear pasties because there's just an open space in the middle that you can't really wear a bra with. So I wear that on certain occasions, but not as much as I kind of wished I would because I really do like this shirt and how it came out. This next top, I got another free one from Mood, and this was probably the easiest pattern I've ever followed. If you ever want to just make a cute little cowl neck tank top, I highly recommend this pattern. This probably took me about an hour total with cutting. I made it out of this dress, and I still had some scraps from that, so I went ahead and made myself some shorts too, so I could have a little somerset, doing somersaults in my somerset. I'm a rapper. The third one. I bought a pattern off of Etsy, and it turned out to be AI. I want to thank the person who called that out to me because I did not know that they had infiltrated the sewing space. The buttons and the buttonholes were not lined up. The steps were in a weird order, and I'm also new to this, so I didn't anticipate some of those things, and it didn't come out good. This next shirt was the most unique pattern that I've ever messed with, and it came out so good. I made it out of a baby doll dress. I think the only thing is the darts are kind of a little bit too pointy. On top of that, it's a little bit short. I don't really like it when shirts cut off like any lower than the middle of my belly button because it kind of rides up when I'm wearing it, and that's not my favorite. I learned a lot when I was making that video, and now I know how I would lengthen it for the next time. I really recommend this pattern as well. I love the sleeves on it. I think it's so summery and cute and sassy and classy. I don't have a whole lot of that fabric left because I started making it into curtains. Wow. And that's the beauty of the curtains that I've been making, because you can kind of just use whatever scraps you got. You know, it really is such an amazing and unique scrap buster because these things come out so pretty. I've recently been making a curtain for my boyfriend's parents for Christmas. I just finished them, and I'm going to show you at the end of this video, so stay tuned. Oh yeah, and if you're still watching right now, please subscribe. I would love that. I love interacting with y'all. I've been going on live a lot while I was working on this curtain, and being able to connect with people has really meant a lot to me. And all those live videos I post up afterwards. I'm sorry if it's annoying because I think it might send a notification whenever I go live, and I don't like that. But yeah, anyway, these are those curtains. I put 2 of them in the bathroom for myself because I was afraid that somebody was gonna see me naked at nighttime because it's one of those frosted windows. And now I don't have to worry about that anymore. Next up, I had another baby doll dress that was in this beautiful pattern. I love it. It almost reminds me of the blue and black dress versus white and gold dress. I don't know, something about it is like popping to my eyes, you know what I mean? And for this one, I just used an inspiration photo from something I had on Pinterest and decided to just kind of wing it. And it actually came out pretty good, and I'm proud of that one. So I have upcycled other things in the past. I've been sewing for about 10 years now, and because I had learned how to sew making bags, I tried my hand at making clothes without a pattern. It didn't always come out great. For instance, this bad boy. I bought a sheet, dyed it, and then turned it into some antebellum stuff. I don't know what the hell I was going for. 10 years later, I no longer fit in it. I busted the zipper, and let's be honest, I ain't wearing that out in public. Even though it was really soft and silky, it felt really nice to have like bed sheets on my body. For this one, I had an inspo pick, and I kind of went off the rails there, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't realize how much fabric I actually had, and I also wanted to work with the dye pattern on it because I thought it was really cool that in the ruffles, some of the dye had disappeared. I don't think it actually got sun bleached, but I think it ended up coming out pretty cool. I washed it once, and it kind of changed the color of some of my white towels. If anybody has any advice on what I should do about that, or if I should just keep washing it and turning all my towels pink, then that's a good suggestion too, I suppose. Somebody said to get mordant fixative. Is that the same thing? Alexa, is it? I don't have Alexa. But yeah, up until that point, that was my favorite thing I made. I do think that I will change it a little bit, however, because just like the red shirt I was talking about before, it sits up too high and rides up You know, I was thinking of adding ruffles on the bottom. Come Halloween, it's time to put something together. I always wanted to be Popeye and Olive Oyl for Halloween in a couple's costume, and this was my chance.
I also wanted to do it on a really low budget.
So I ended up putting these two costumes together for me and my boyfriend for less than $10. And here's the video if you want to check it out. It's a little bit of a flop video wise, but it's one of my proudest ones because I made and thrifted stuff and I did it on a budget. And it came out really cute. Look it. Okay, proudest achievement to date. My last long form video, I made this jacket, so yeah. And I wish I had made it earlier because it is no longer warm enough to wear a jacket like this, but I patched together 5 pairs of jeans that my friends had donated to me and made the Joplin jacket on Mood Sewciety, and oh, it came out so fire. And I learned a lot. I know how to do a full lining with like a full jacket, you know? I get so many compliments on this thing. I normally don't really like jean patchwork, but for some reason this one came out really cool. I don't know, probably because I got skills now, y'all. My boyfriend said it looks like something Chance the Rapper would wear, and I kind of thought about DMing him and being like, hey, I made this jacket, you want it? A couple weeks ago I had another market and I didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare for that one, so a lot of this isn't my best work, but some of it I think came out pretty cool. Here's some of those things. These are the ones that didn't sell, and these are the ones that did sell.
I also made this one that I'm keeping for myself. And maybe this one didn't sell because it looks like the car is going off-road.
Vroom. And here's a couple of my buddies wearing something they bought from the market. How freaking cute. And last but not least, this is the curtain that I'm making for my boyfriend's parents. Here's the reveal. Ooh. Let me know what you think. My boyfriend had the idea to kind of make it somewhat of a sunrise sunset theme. I had doubts towards the beginning because I was just doing the brown parts and I don't really work with brown that much. But I knew that I would match their bathroom to use some tan and brown, and I wasn't sure about the gradient, but I think it gets the idea across. Also, for the top, I could have done a gradient as well, but I think the variety of different shapes towards the top makes it unique. And I won't be there to see their reaction. I can't wait to see what it looks like hanging up in their bathroom. They have a lot of cool art in their house, and I think they'll like it. Yeah. Anyway, that's about all I made this year. I'm really proud of how far I've come just in 1 year because at the beginning of the year, I didn't even know how to use patterns. And now I made this. This is my magnum opus. That just goes to show you practice makes perfect, baby. And I know some of y'all are probably getting sewing machines for Christmas, which is so exciting. And some of y'all are gonna be starting your sewing journey. And I hope that this video shows you how quickly you can progress if you practice a lot, because I've definitely seen it in myself and I'm really proud. I appreciate y'all sticking around this long. I have more to come and I'm really excited for the new year to see what I'm gonna do. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do it now.
What's with the attitude?
I'm just kidding. I don't mean to be bossy, but that would be cool. If you liked anything from this video, comment with a hell yeah. And if you didn't, you can leave a thumbs down. I like that engagement too. I will see y'all next year. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye.